I would rather not say. I would rather not have judgment from the business students.
Never mind, never mind, never mind. So guys, welcome if you're watching. So welcome, please let us know in the comments who you are and where you're from, okay? So let us know who you are, where you're from, and maybe also tell us your job as well, okay? So since this is a business focus, we want to hear about you guys, what you do, your work. Okay. So we might just introduce ourselves. So Jadene, do you want to go first?
Sure. So my name is Jadene. I'm from London in England originally, but now I live in Milan, and I have been living here since October of last year. So not for too long. Now I am a teacher, but I have a biology degree. And I've also spent a few years working in various different office jobs, including in a bank, which was not the highlight of my life, but it was nice for a period.
Excellent. Okay, really good. And I'm Lisa. So I'm from Ireland. I'm 29 and I've been living in Italy for 2.5 years. So I also work at MyES with Jadene in the centre of Milan. And I also have worked in different areas before. Mainly before I became a teacher, I worked in marketing. So I have a lot of experience with the joy of administration, the joy that is administration, which is basically
It's not terrible. It's not terrible.
No, it's actually for me.
Job.
I enjoy it because I like organization. I like to be organized. So I like admin most of the time, as long as there's not too much admin.
Yeah,
but
if there was a bit less screen time, I think.
Yeah, I think. But I think a lot of office jobs, no matter what field you work in, no matter what industry, what area, if you work in an office, it's probably about 75% administration. I think so anyway, in my experience, because I worked in a lot of different places and there was always just so much administration.
Exactly. Oh, we have Clara. Yes, it's so nice to see you again. It's been a while, I think.
Yeah, it's great to see you. How are you doing? Are you still doing okay? It's going okay.
That's true. And how is work? Considering we are in the business activities, so I can see more of you are joining us now. So in case you missed the beginning, please introduce yourselves and also tell us about your jobs. Tell us what it is that you do for work.
Exactly.
Oh, we've got Marco as well from Rome. Don't worry, stay as long as you can.
It's okay. It's perfectly fine to jump in and out. That's totally fine. We understand as well because, it's almost dinner time. So that's very important too. Okay, so I'm just going to ask while we're waiting for the guys to respond. Okay, so this is all about good communication. So Jadene, how important do you think good communication is in any job?
I think it's very important in every job. I think it's important if you work in a team to be able to communicate, or a phrase we use is to be on the same page as people in your department, because in terms of efficiency, everyone can work better, faster, etc. when everyone knows what's happening.
Exactly.
But also communicating your needs as well. So what you want from a job or what you need to do your job better is important on a personal level.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. And also, yeah, that thing of being open, the importance of transparency. in a business. It's always something I know people go on and on about, but it's actually true. If everyone understands what's happening, even if, for example, if you understand the different roles that maybe your manager or your boss has to do, then maybe you can understand why they have to only give certain time to different things. Also, maybe to understand the pressure of their job versus your job, so you know what is going on, and you can be understanding of that, and vice versa as well. It goes both ways. Yeah, it's really important.
I think understanding as well how to make things better. So as well, you said you worked in marketing. So of course, being able to communicate your business to external clients or external companies or people is also really, really important. How you present yourself and your company.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can talk about communication. Okay. So Clara, I totally agree with you. I'm excited because next week I can run outside. I'm with you on that. I'm excited. I'm going to go running until I cannot run anymore.
Oh, me too.
And then
I
I'll
hate
probably
running, but I'll be outside.
Yeah, exactly, and breathe fresh air. Exactly. Excellent. Okay, and so Clara was saying as well about her work. So Jadene, would you like to read this?
Yes, and Clara, I think, although I shouldn't say this now while I'm at work, but your job may be my dream job. I love it. So she says, I've been working in a publishing house since September, my second dream job
Don't
after
worry, it's
teaching
fine.
English. I've been working in a publishing house since September. I'm in charge of selling rights of books around the world. I love my job because I have the opportunity to travel apart from in this period. Fantastic. And she also
Excellent.
says, so good communication. We don't need A because we're talking generally about the concept of communication. So good communication is essential to work in a team. So maybe for working in a team, and even to deal with customers or for dealing with customers. Exactly. But try to tell us a bit more. So why do you think it's essential?
Yeah, exactly. And also the same question to Marco if he's still with us. But don't worry if you
Yeah.
had to go off.
That's
Okay,
fine.
excellent. So what are we going to talk about as well, apart from communication? What are we going to discuss in this webinar?
Okay.
Well,
So,
it is all about communication.
so in this business activity, we'll be looking at talking about plans, agreeing and disagreeing, and trying to elicit information from others. So elicit just means being able to get information from another person, maybe without directly asking them. I think is a good definition anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So if you haven't heard it before, it's something that we are trained to do as teachers. Okay, so instead of giving you the answer, to a question, so elicit. So you elicit an answer from someone. Okay, so you elicit an answer from someone. So, for example, a teacher would try to elicit the correct answer from a student by by maybe hinting or rephrasing the question, or trying to encourage them to find the answer themselves. Okay. So we try to do that because it's better for you to think of the answer yourself if you already know it, or to try and figure it out.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah,
If you
really
figure
good.
something out, then I think you're more likely to understand it yourself.
Exactly. And yeah, good example as well. So yesterday I elicited the correct answer from a student. Exactly. Yeah. So Marco, it's kind of like prompting. Yeah, it's kind of like prompting. So where you kind of, if you haven't, also in the context of a meeting, you might have to elicit from your coworkers, because maybe they're not contributing to the conversation or to the ideas, for example, if you're brainstorming. So eliciting is a little bit like, prompting them for an answer or to think about it, to get a response from them.
Yeah, or maybe I like maybe a slightly more positive way. But I like maybe to encourage an answer, or to encourage someone to give you information, to evoke.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have
so just a comment there from Clara. So I think that in a team, it's important to communicate, to keep up with the news, to share opinions, and to achieve better results. Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. Really great as well. Grammatically, Clara, perfect.
Excellent. Yeah, exactly. It's really important as well. Like when I worked in marketing, we were strongly encouraged to keep up to date with what was happening in the world of media. So we would actually have email updates on what was going on, because you would have to stay up to date to be informative and to have discussions with your clients, and to be able to share your opinions as well. So yeah, it can be really important.
Okay. So we've got some questions on the screen. So I will read them and you can all answer. So number 1, does your job involve creativity, and how so? And I am sure regardless of what your job is, you need to be creative in every job for something.
Exactly.
And number 2, have you ever had a creative block at work, and how did you resolve it? So a creative block is just, or generally when people say a mental block, it's just when you are unable to fix a problem. Maybe you just have no ideas. Your mind is completely blank.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So you can't find an idea or a solution depending on the context. Like also people have creative blocks, and also they have writer's block. So people who write, they get stuck with what to do next if they're writing a story or creating a character. It's just when you can't think properly.
Oh, another phrase. Sorry. So a phrase I like. Oh, lovely. A phrase I like is, and you can use this for anything. You can even use it for sport. There's the phrase that says to hit a wall, and it's just like where you feel like you cannot go any further with something. You're unable to work your way through something.
Exactly. Yeah, so it can be anything, like you're trying to find a solution for a project, or maybe how to present something. Even with presentation, you could say we've hit a wall with how to frame the presentation. For example, we've hit a wall. We're just stuck, completely stuck. Okay.
So
Marco says, sorry.
I didn't see. So I didn't see it.
It jumped up under our comments. Sometimes how it does that. So being in the field of communication, creativity is fundamental. Really good point. So having a team can help to overcome creative blocks. Excellent. Yeah, really good point. So yeah, nice. by working as a team and, like, for example, brainstorming, discussing in a group, yeah, you can overcome those kind of periods where you have some sort of block in a project or something like that. Definitely, I can imagine. Okay, sorry, Jadene, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, while we wait for answers to the questions, then Lisa, would you answer number 1 for me? Yeah, we have another answer as well. For Clara, I like it as well. Casual. Yep. My job involves creativity because I'm also in charge of creating newsletters to send customers, or to send to customers. Lovely.
Excellent.
So this is like physical creativity.
Oh, that's a really nice comment, Clara. So at MyES, all teachers are usually creative. Thank you. But it's
usually,
true.
she says.
Yeah, but it's true, to be honest, because generally, I don't know if it's kind of something in our job description that we like people who are a little bit random. um, and we all have different interests as well as teaching, because it's important to be able to share some of your personal interests with your students. So yeah, I think it's important to have that kind of energy, because usually our teachers are people who love working with people. So we're very passionate about lots of different things. That's what I've noticed anyway. But yeah, definitely, I think, to be honest, personally, I know some people say I'm not creative. People say that about themselves a lot of the time. But I honestly think that everyone is creative in some way or another, because they think like, yeah, they think that, oh no, well, that's not really creative though. Like, actually it is. I don't know, Jadene, have you heard people saying this, like, oh, I'm not really a creative person?
Oh, definitely. I think people usually think creativity is only to do with, maybe art or music, or like traditionally the arts, like something that you can see physically or write about,
Yeah.
some form of entertainment. But I think that you can have creativity in many ways. For example, in science, creativity in thinking of how to run an experiment, or in communications, creativity not only in how you communicate, but maybe you have a customer or a client who doesn't really understand what you've said, or they don't really like it. So you have to think of a different way to appeal to them. And this all requires some sense of creativity.
Exactly, yeah, because it can be, you can be creative about a strategy, about an approach to something, and not just about like making something. But even I have to say, is one of the loveliest things I've seen, when I've done art classes. Sometimes there are people who have never tried something like painting or drawing before, and they really surprise themselves because they think, oh, I'm not creative, this is going to be a disaster. And actually, when they do it, they're like, wow, I didn't realize that actually I can do this. I've just never tried it.
Yeah.
Because I think people don't realize that you did all these things when you were a child. You still use creativity, just in different ways.
Mm. And I think
Um,
having less pressure on yourself, obviously it depends. If it's in your job and you need to find solutions, maybe
yeah,
have a bit of pressure. But in terms of, yeah, that kind of the creativity in making things, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can just try to do something if you enjoy it. It
yeah,
doesn't matter if it ends up fantastic, if you
yeah.
like the process.
Exactly, exactly. And let us know, guys. I know, so Marco, you already said about having a team. So working as a team can help to overcome creative blocks. But
Mm.
anyone else watching, so let us know if you've had an experience where, I don't know, you couldn't think of a way to do something, or you were a bit stuck on something. Like,
Yeah,
how did you resolve that kind of block or confusion about what to do?
exactly. Do you
Hmm?
have any examples as well of a time when you resolved something? Have you ever had a creative block, Lisa, at work
Definitely,
specifically?
definitely. Um, okay, I'll actually go back to marketing, because I feel like
Mhm.
when it comes to, like, I don't know, it's that same thing when it comes to ever like not having an idea of how to do something in MyES. Like, I will automatically talk to someone else about it, like talk to another teacher, talk to, I don't know, Giordano, for example, about what can we do here. So for if we're having an event or something like that. But another example, just for variation, when I was in marketing, we had a one specific, so it was I can't really remember, it was a campaign for a client. I can't remember the actual campaign, but I just remember that we were hitting like several blocks because every idea that we came up with, the client was like, no, we've done something similar, or we can't do that because of restrictions, because sometimes you can
Oh
be very
no.
restricted. Um, so essentially, for to resolve that problem, we ended up taking people, so not just from our team, but from different departments. So we asked to do kind of a brainstorm session with people who didn't fully know the client. They didn't know the restrictions. Okay,
Okay.
because we were limited by what we knew, but so that was kind of
Yeah.
blocking us in a way. But by
No,
bringing
I
in
can imagine.
by bringing in other people who had a different perspective and a completely, they were detached from it, it really helped to get some kind of totally different ideas. But yeah, that's just an example.
No, it's just sometimes when you work on something for a long time, nothing feels right. You need to take a break from it.
Exactly. And also that phrase of like having a fresh pair of eyes on something.
Mm, yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's true. I completely agree. Um,
Yeah.
okay. So shall we move on?
Yeah, let's go ahead. And if you're typing to us, please keep typing. No problem at all.
Oh, so yeah, Marco says brainstorming is a good strategy, and also either seeing what others near you do to communicate their projects. Yeah, it's true. So definitely taking inspiration from other people. I'm a big fan of either teamwork or just asking somebody else
Yeah.
for an idea. Even if I don't like all of their idea, maybe I could like part of it, or maybe it could encourage me to start something different that I wouldn't have thought of that was possible.
Yeah. That's
Um,
the thing. The
yeah,
best ideas come from case studies. They come from taking another example of something, showing it, and then being like,
seeing how it works.
yeah, nice. Teamwork makes the dream.
Okay. Great pros, great pros. So would you like to read the next slide, Lisa?
Sure. So obviously in this case, it's not, so this is more of a discussion slide, but we want to discuss with you. So your opinions on what are the best and worst ways to spark creative ideas, okay? To spark.
Ooh.
So just if anyone doesn't know what that means, so to spark creative ideas. So a spark is like the initial flame before a fire starts. So, for example, if you have a lighter, it the spark ignites and then the flame ignites. Okay, so yeah, so to spark creative ideas. So in this context, it's like to start off an idea. Okay, it's the thing that starts off the idea. So we have some suggestions here, but obviously we can talk about other things as well. So researching the competition, asking a colleague, setting a deadline, calling a group meeting, and abandoning the workplace for some fresh air. Okay. Okay. So these are some ideas, but obviously we can talk about others too.
Yes, and sorry, so back to the last slide, Clara says, mine is an off-topic example. Tomorrow is my flatmate's, don't forget, possessive, birthday, and I had a mental block about what I could organize during this period. So I spoke over the phone with my other flatmate, and we've come up with organizing a treasure hunt in our building. Oh, so clever.
That's so
That's
cute.
great. That was really, really cool. I like
Nice.
I spoke over the phone as well, keeping the distance. We don't leave our rooms.
No, well, maybe the other flatmate isn't there. That's what I took from
Yeah,
that.
no, no,
Okay.
no, I think so.
Or they were trying to be
Um,
secretive.
maybe. Ooh, so Marcus says, can I use spark or sparkling as an adjective to mean exciting? Um, no,
No,
no.
so
So sparkling is something is an adjective you can use to describe wine or water that is fizzy, so with a lot of gas or bubbles. Um, or you can describe a person as having a sparkling personality, which is like something really shiny and beautiful and really enjoyable to be around. but I'm not sure if this has come from something. I'm trying to think of any similar words. Can you think of any, Lisa?
Yeah, because
Sparkling film.
I was just thinking that the more so, like you said, about the personality. So sparkling personality, because yeah, it's kind of confusing that we would only use it for someone's personality, but we don't use it to describe like an exciting film. Maybe riveting. It's not that similar, but maybe another term to say exciting instead of, you could say it was a riveting film. Riveting film. So riveting means very exciting, very captivating. Okay, so very captivating, riveting. But yeah, I don't think there is one similar. So that might be where the confusion is coming from, because we can say sparkling personality.
No, but also as a side, although again, I'm not sure if you would have thought this, Marco. But a spark. So if you use it as a noun, not in the literal sense, can be when two people connect really well, which could be exciting. But that is really, I'm kind of just reaching for something.
Yeah. Yeah, a spark is like an instant connection, that there was just a spark, usually in a romantic way.
Yeah.
Okay. So Clara says, abandoning the workplace for some fresh air is helpful. The best ideas come up when we don't think about deadlines, work, etc. Yeah, it's true. Kind of when you're like Jadene was saying, like when you're not under pressure, when you're not restricted, when you're more relaxed, I think it's easier. Although it is funny because sometimes people work really well under pressure, so it just depends as well. But yeah, I think when it comes to being creative, it can be difficult. It's funny because my my old media agency, one of my old media agencies, was called Spark Foundry.
Ooh. I like it. A little bit of advertising here for all of you interested.
No, it's just funny because they gave it a new name because it was like meant to be cool, because Spark were creative.
I like it. I do like it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Researching the competition is not something I've ever done. I think because I've not ever been in that environment. But for me, definitely things like asking colleagues, setting deadlines does not work for me. I do not respect my own deadlines at all. But no, I definitely, I like asking a colleague or calling a group meeting. Like I said, for me, I always work better with the ideas of someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think it depends, because definitely, like when I say about case studies, so when you research the competition, it can be really, really helpful for maybe saying, okay, so this is what they're doing, and this is their approach to whatever it is. So obviously, it depends on the industry. So it gives you maybe an idea of context, and then I don't know, something you can build off of to go a different way, to have a different approach. But depends, obviously.
Definitely. Yes, lovely. So if you guys can think of any other ideas, then that's great. Let us know.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay. And I definitely agree that it's good to get out and to also to talk to other people about it, like so it can be really helpful. But yeah, I think personally that having deadlines and restrictions definitely doesn't encourage creativity. So it's better, even though obviously in a workplace you have deadlines, so it's better not to focus too much on it when it comes to being creative.
Exactly. Okay, so now as Lisa was mentioning about case studies being useful, we are going to look at a case study of Shelby Retreats. So if you've done a business webinar before, maybe you have come across this particular place of business. I know I definitely have. And sorry, so Clara just has a comment as well. Asking someone who does not know the business. Yes, so this is what Lisa did in her example. So sometimes people who are not involved are better than us.
Yeah, it's really true. It's really true. So really good question, Marco. So from the previous slide, so breakthrough. Okay, so breakthrough. Yes, sorry, it's in the title. I meant to mention this earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so just to mention, so if you have a breakthrough, okay, so first of all, so the noun, a breakthrough. So this is when you have like a eureka moment of progress. Okay, so you have a breakthrough. So for example, in science, a breakthrough is finding a solution, finding something that helps you to progress to the next stage of something. So it's really, really, really helpful. And also, yeah, you can use it as a verb. So to break through on something. But usually we would say to have a breakthrough. Okay, so to have a breakthrough. So we had a breakthrough on the project. We found a good solution.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Okay. So for this slide, maybe Lisa, if you want to read one of the paragraphs, and I will read the other.
Sure, of course. So this is about Shelby Retreats. Okay, so just to explain, Shelby Retreats is a new semi-luxury resort on the island of Majorca that offers cooking classes in which guests can learn to cook from charismatic chef Javier. And I do believe that Javier has a fake mustache. I'm just going to say that. It has to be a
Very
fake
typical
mustache.
chef
It
mustache.
has to be a
I don't
fake
know.
mustache.
I've seen some of these bad boys in real life. I'm telling you. Okay.
Sorry, yeah, we're getting distracted. Jadene, you can continue reading.
I'll just make it. I'll just try and make it bigger for you guys. To see it yourself. So the Shelbys are putting the final touches on the resort before its grand opening, and have asked Javier to come up with the first draft of his menu, as it will be a strong selling point for the resort. Javier, in the middle of a creative block, calls up his old colleague Camilla to discuss possible improvements. Okay, so
Perfect.
if there are any pieces of vocabulary in this text that you are unsure about, please ask us in the comments. But if not, then Lisa and I will just go through some of the vocabulary you can see in red. So the first one is the final touches. And actually, more specifically, I think the whole phrase putting the final touches, or to put a final touch. And a final touch or a finishing touch is just the last few things you need to do to perfect a project.
Yeah, exactly. So the final touches or the finishing touches. So yeah, the last few things. Also the same about the finishing touches on something you make as well. So it's the last few bits that you need to do. Okay. And also before I get to the next red term, just to come up with. So it's a really good phrasal verb. So to come up with something is when you have to think. So you have to think of something. So for example, a lot of the time when you're talking about a project, we need to come up with a good idea. So we need to create or to think of, or also to, I don't know, so you come up with a solution for something as well. You think of it. Okay.
Definitely. So Clara says, can we say doing the final touches instead of putting? I want to say no. You
Yeah.
don't only have to use putting, but doing is just very strange.
Yeah, like you might do the last few, like she's doing the last few bits, or no, it just still sounds weird. So
No,
no, we
no.
would
So you
say,
can say putting the final touches on something, or adding the final touches, maybe to
yeah,
something.
yeah.
But yeah, you can't say doing. I'm sorry,
Mm.
Clara. I know that wasn't a very clear reason as to why, but you just can't.
No, it's a good question though. But yeah, we would say putting or adding the final touches. But yeah, like for example, maybe I would say in the context of let's say Christmas shopping, I'm just doing the last few bits. Okay, so doing the last few bits, that means I'm getting the last few presents that I need to do before Christmas. But again, that's a bit different. It's a bit different to finishing up a project or finishing up the last things that you need to do for a project.
Exactly.
Uh,
Okay, so next.
so the first draft of his menu, I think that's fairly explanatory. Okay,
Yeah, maybe
but
draft.
obviously,
Maybe it's draft.
yeah, okay, so just in case, so the draft of something, so when you draft something, so you might have a first draft for a project, or for a proposal, or a first draft for a presentation. Okay, so it can be used for a lot of things. So it's like your initial attempt. Okay, so it's maybe just rough as well. So sometimes it can be quite rough. So it's not finished, but it's let's say the first version of something. Okay, the first version of something.
Oh yeah, I think version sorry is perfect. Written. It's true. First draft, second draft,
Yeah.
version. And then finally, probably also self-explanatory. We have a selling point, and this is just an aspect of your project or business or product that makes people want to take part in it, or that makes people want to buy from it. So the example in this resort or this hotel being that people want to stay there, and one of the main reasons is because of the food.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And just anyone so who deals with marketing or selling, so selling point, a lot of the time this is abbreviated to sometimes to the USP. Okay, so if it's a product
Yep.
or a company, they have the USV, which is, or USP, sorry, which is the universal selling point. Okay, so your universal selling point.
Ah, see,
Oh,
I
there you
always
go.
heard of it as the unique selling point.
Oh my God, you're right.
Um,
I'm just tired. Sorry. It is
is it, oh no, no, it
it,
could be either, to be honest. The
no,
other
you're
one
right.
also makes sense.
It's unique. I'm tired. I'm sorry. I need my
No,
dinner.
no problem.
I haven't been working in
Um,
marketing for like 3 years, so this is my excuse.
no, I'm proud. So, but yeah, so the thing that makes your product or your business, etc., stand out, the thing that makes it different.
Exactly.
Okay,
Thank you for that.
so
It just
no,
shows
no
sometimes I
problem.
give incorrect definitions for things when I think I'm so right. Uh,
Okay, so just to move on, then we've got a couple of questions.
mhm.
So, question number one for you guys: what is the Shelby Retreats selling point? Which possibly I gave away. You're both quite fast, but you can still answer. Um, and number two, how will this influence Javier's menu? Okay. So the second question is actually
Okay,
a bit more
perfect.
intense.
Okay, sorry, I disconnected there. Well,
Oh no, Lisa, come back. Okay, so we've lost Lisa for just a moment. I think she's returning. I can feel it. Yay!
hello? That was
Hello.
weird. Sorry. YouTube just
No, it's
kicked me
fine.
out. Sorry.
Oh no! Oh, well, you came back very, very quickly, so it's fine.
Okay. so strange. Yeah, I'm back. Hello.
It's fine. So maybe we can just go through this a bit quickly, because I don't think these questions are so important, but the next conversation is quite interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
perfect.
yeah, but we mentioned that the selling point of the retreat, or one of them anyway, is this menu. It's why people want to stay. And how will this influence Javier's menu? It's actually quite a tough question.
Yeah,
Um,
like that could just be your own opinion, really. Like, how do you think it it will influence? Oh,
yeah, I
okay.
think so. Um, in my opinion, probably it means that he will have to adapt his menu to whatever the theme of the hotel or the resort is. So maybe if it has some kind of tropical theme, or maybe like a really classic theme, then he would have to modify his menus to go in with the general style of the hotel.
Mhm.
Do you have any other ideas, Lisa?
Yeah, I think excuse me. I think it just depends as well, because if he's having a discussion with his colleague as well, they might give him some ideas for how to change, or what to do to kind of make it more interesting. But yeah, it really just depends.
Hmm,
Okay, so
okay.
we could probably just take a look at
So
the
if we
conversation they have.
Yeah, I think so. So this is the conversation between Javier and Camilla, and again, we'll just make that a bit bigger. Lisa, if you want to be Camilla.
Hmm. Sure. Um,
Okay, so Javier says, thanks for helping me out. I'm really stuck right now. My menu is too bland.
Is that so? Well, when I need creativity, I just go back to the basics.
That's very interesting. Go on, could you explain more?
Of course, when brainstorming fails, you need to think simple. What makes your product stand out? Why is your style cutting edge?
I'm not sure I follow you. So you're saying I should analyze my skills and work from there?
I'm saying you should know your target consumer, know your own skills, and try to find the best possible balance in your menu.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. I'll get started right away. So again, if there's any language in this dialogue that you are not sure about, please ask us in the comments.
Mhm.
But if you are confident, then at the bottom we have a task. So find useful expressions for showing interest.
Exactly. Okay, so Marco just has a point here. So this is about what he should do. So Javier should come up with classy food. Okay, classy food, a bit exotic maybe, yeah, because maybe depending on where they are as well, kind of making it a bit more exotic or interesting. Always in the respect uh, of food. So we usually say,
Maybe
so we
respective.
yeah, respective to the food, or also with respect to the food, with respect to the
Mm,
food. So I think maybe in that case you mean to the food available, as well, because you have to obviously to base it on what food you have available to use. Okay, and a good question as well from Marco. So, can you use bland for a person? So Jadene, can you use bland for a person?
definitely. So the same as with food, bland just means a bit boring or plain, I think is a good way. So you can use bland for a person. This is definitely not complimentary.
Mm-mm.
Um,
It's quite
it
offensive.
means the person is boring. Yeah, it's
You
quite
definitely
offensive.
wouldn't say it to their face.
No, 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 no,
Yeah, but
no.
you could use it to describe also, for example, a presentation. It was really bland, it's boring, wasn't interesting. Yeah, as
Yeah,
well. Yeah, it's quite offensive for a person, but you can use it.
Yeah, maybe you don't care, Marco, in which case, go wild. Use it if you like.
Fire away if you want to insult someone. It's like, I don't want to be your friend anymore. You're too bland.
Exactly. So we have, I'm just trying to think. So I think there are 3 expressions in this conversation for showing interest. So we'll just wait another minute to see if you guys come up with anything yourselves, because we know, of course, there is a delay. But if not, then Lisa and I will probably run through it as we are conscious of the time always.
Exactly. Exactly. And just to explain as well, it's kind of separate to what we're talking about expressions for interest. But if you don't know the term cutting edge, it's used very commonly now when we talk about technology. So cutting edge, it's like at the forefront of the market. Okay, so it's like cutting edge, so it's really new, really interesting. It's what makes it modern and what makes it different. Okay, cutting edge. So yeah, it's just something that usually is like right in terms of advancements, it makes it very, very new, very different. Okay, and then
Exactly. Okay.
I think the rest of the vocab is okay.
I think so. So I'll just reveal some of these then. So the first one for showing interest we have from Camilla, is that so? And is that so is a question that is honestly, I think, another way to say really.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And with
So
this
it
as
is.
well, a lot of the time you can use intonation. So, oh, is that so? Oh, because you're showing your interest. Oh.
We do. We're a fan of intonations.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to emphasize it a bit.
Exactly. And then the next one, of course, is that's very interesting. I don't think that we really need to explain why that shows interest. I
No.
think that's quite clear. But if you have a question, of course, you can write if it's not clear as to why. And then finally, we have from Javier, I hadn't thought of that. So that's kind of a complimentary way of saying, oh, that's a new idea, or that's a different idea. It's not something I would have thought of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there anything else you could say about these comments, Lisa?
Just that a lot of the time as well, we also say, so, oh, I hadn't thought of that, or also, I hadn't thought of it that way. Okay, I hadn't thought of it that way, depending on, it's just kind of a similar way to explain something or to say the same thing, but it's more about like, oh, that's actually an interesting perspective. I hadn't thought of it that way. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So then I think we can just take a look then. I think there are some other expressions in the text, or am I
Exactly.
wrong?
So no, you're right. So we can again just run through these before we end. So the next task was to find useful expressions for eliciting more information, and if we remember, to elicit information is just to encourage someone to tell you more about an idea. So we have a few more examples in this dialogue, all from Javier.
Exactly. So yeah, so in this case, exactly. So we have go on, could you explain more? Or I'm not sure I follow you. Or also, so you're saying, so again, rephrasing something as well. So rephrasing something or asking them to just to clarify as well or to get information.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So we are at the end of the lesson, but thank you so much, guys, for taking part, as well for interacting with us, giving your suggestions and asking your questions. Yeah, I think just to summarize quickly, we've looked at some very, very quickly, some language for eliciting information, as well as language for showing interest, which I think is clear.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the main and the most important part is that we've had really good conversations about how to get past creative blocks and different ways to expand our ideas and become more creative.
Yeah.
And you guys were great with that.
Yeah.
Is there
Thanks.
anything else?
No, that's great. So thanks so much, guys. It was lovely to talk to you. And yeah, we hope
Yeah.
to talk to you again soon on another webinar. And I hope you have a lovely evening. So thanks so much, especially to Clara and Marco.
Yes. Okay. Take care, guys. Bye bye.
Bye.